Well, good morning to all of you, and I'm not just a little impressed, I'm amazingly impressed that you are here. I thought you all be in jammies watching us on television, and good morning to all of you on Channel 12 and on our YouTube channel across the United States who join us. But it's great to see all of you and celebrate this interesting day because it is a special day. An unusual day. It doesn't happen very often to us. It's happened a couple of times in my career, actually, that we celebrate the last Sunday of Christmas and the last day of the year as we turn our attention toward the new year. And you know, the last week has been so wonderful. Good gracious, last Sunday with our services packed one after another, the music. I think we wore the poor musicians out. Some are sitting here. They're in bed this morning still sleeping it off. EJ's here, so thank you. And you've got the grandfather crew, the old grandfather crew. Jerry and I said we would take care of things. Tom is in Poland seeing his son play basketball, which is fabulous. And Chris is off taking his kids skiing and getting a little time away. So we said, well, we'll anchor things. There'll probably be a few people. So thank you for showing up and being here today to celebrate this day. I don't know about you, but the end of the year is always interesting to me. We come off of the baby Jesus and all of that. And then on this Sunday, even if it's not New Year's Eve Sunday, we turn our attention to something deeper. The lessons are an indicator, really clear, that in a very short amount of time, a span of a week, and that celebration of Christmas, we shift from this baby and the great legends and the sweetness that we sing in the hymns to something deeper, to the book of Revelation, and to the powerful, powerful, powerful philosophical images of the Gospel of John, which shaped the church, shaped it and what it became. But also around us, think what's going on, the end of the year. What do you see? Stories, we're repeating all the great stories of the year, and also all the bad stories for the year, endlessly on the news cycle. Or all the predictions, and I, like you probably have seen so many and heard so many, and so many this year, as that has been for a while, that are dire, that the end of the world is coming. And you know, I just kind of wonder about all that. I think there's some choice making in what we listen to, but I really wonder if the coronavirus is not still in us and with us in some ways that we cannot really understand. But it's around you. And if it's not affecting you, I'm happy for you, because it's affecting most of us. And so I came into this day, I don't know about you, really thinking a little differently than I have. Not so much about all the what-to-dos that I hear on the news cycle, nothing wrong with the news, but again, just all the media cranking about what to do and all the ways we build in our New Year's resolutions and that kind of thing. And I thought, I need something different, really different for me, to be honest, and where this society is and where we are right now. And so I began looking some weeks ago, something to catch my imagination, and instead of focusing on the what, I was really trying to focus on the how to all of this, how to start a new year. And I found it in the most unusual place, the United States military. Some of you probably think as I think. If you don't, that's okay. But amazingly, the United States military is often on the cutting edge of society. They have led the way in racial relationships, the promotion of women. I can go on and on. Gender identity, just you name it. The military addresses it straight on. And here's another one. They're addressing where our society is. And then it captured my attention. There's a massive effort in the United States Army, and has been for months, to do a new initiative of leadership training from the very top, the seniors, to the lowest private. And it's a training course, a training course filled and packed with familiar skills. And a lot of you have been leaders and are leaders. And so you've heard all of these things, studied these things more times than you can imagine. Self-awareness and self-regulation and management. Mental agility, strength of character, problem solving. But the one that caught me, the fifth element that really caught me, was this one: optimism. Optimism. Fascinating. What they began to teach the youngest soldiers to the oldest generals is, why don't you begin looking for the good? Looking for the good. And the catchy phrase that just kind of crept into their lingo that actually came from the experience of doing the training, not from the trainers, but from the trainees, was this. They started saying, hunt for the good stuff. Hunt for the good stuff. Now I was hooked, and I'm still hooked. You see, after some practice, what the Army is experiencing is exactly what they hoped for. A new sense of resiliency in the people who serve and in the families who live with those who serve. A new sense of resiliency. That's what we need. Okay, pause for a second. Are you going to tell me that life is harder and worse than any time in history? Seriously? Look back. Who studies history? Seriously? That's what I hear every day. And you do too. I am tired of it. In fact, I'm bone-weary sick of it. It's coming from every direction. It's filling us up. It's overflowing from us too. And it takes me down. That's why I needed another way. And I thought, you know what? Life has always been the way it is. Life is difficult. So, hunt for the good stuff captured my imagination. And it captured me that it works, because it does work. You see, hunting and finding for the good can happen anywhere at any time. And when it does, and when it breaks in for you, I promise it is a game changer. So let me take you back to February. Can you go with me? We're going to go back to February. We're going to go to Lakeland, Florida, to a real event. It was a ladies' softball game between two Division II schools. Southeastern University was the home team, and they were playing Grand View University from Des Moines, Iowa. Now, it may not be a big deal to us, but a big deal to those young women, because Southeastern at the time was ranked number 4 in the nation of 195 schools, which sends them to the World Series in their world. So this is a big game. Southeastern's ahead, 4-1. Top of the 5th, 2 outs, looking like they're cruising and going to run right past Grandview. And then the catcher for the Des Moines team gets to the plate, takes a strike, and then bam, hits a ball. Well, let me put it in the words of Chappelle Cunningham, who was the shortstop. What she did was this. She didn't even look at the batter. She looked at the outfield and didn't even move. The ball went out over the fence, out over the bleachers, out of the stadium, and into the next street behind the stadium. And right there she said, that's the longest ball that's ever been hit in softball. She knew it instantly. And in her mind she said, I'm going to congratulate her. I'm going to give her a high five when she comes around. You understand what just happened? They were just now down 5-4. Jerry corrected my math earlier. Down 5-4. And they were on their way to the bigs, and all of a sudden it looked different. Well, she still said, I'm going to thank her. I'm going to congratulate her. And so she's standing looking at the outfield. She looks over to her right to second base. There's not a runner. There's no catcher to be seen. And then she looks a little more back toward first, and there's the catcher face planted between first and second and screaming at the top of her lungs. So what had happened is, catcher hit the home run, jogged to first, and in the weirdest of things happening, tore the daylights out of her right ankle. In fact, by the way, she never played softball again. It was that bad. So there she is on the ground. Okay, for all the sports people here, what's the rule? She has to touch all the bases on her own, or the home run doesn't count. The team is being yelled at by the coach, stay back. They can't help her. They can yell at her. They can't touch her. They can't pick her up. They can't help her to her feet. But something else can happen, and it did. And you know what it was, don't you? Chappelle knew right there what the thing to do. She said, I had not only seen a good thing, she said, I just saw the greatest thing I've ever seen. I'll be daggum. And she went straight toward the catcher and picked her up and started her gingerly toward second base. Then her third baseman joined her. And they catched her lightly. They let her touch lightly her toe on the second base, third base, and home plate. Then they went on back to the game. She didn't think a thing about it. One small thing is one of the fans was videoing this as it happened. And by the way, Southeastern lost the game. They lost the ball game. And then this thing happened. Chappelle and Cunningham and her third baseman were on the local news. And by the 10 p.m. cycle, they were on national ESPN. And by the morning, they were on every talk show in the nation. And by the afternoon, they were on every evening cycle. What are we hungry for? What are you hungry for? You think it was an accident that story made it everywhere? Not an accident at all. Don't be deceived. Be wise. Well, you know, it's interesting. Probably not accidental, by the way. Both those schools are affiliated. One is an Assembly of God school. One is an evangelical Lutheran school. And I'm not saying Christians are better. We're not. There are as many of us in jail as there are other people. That's why I have a job, by the way. Just saying. But you know, there is something to it. Because when she was interviewed, it's interesting what she said. And by the way, she's a Chattanooga girl. She said this. She said, I was taught by my parents and my church to be kind, to show the love of Christ to your teammates and your opponents by my coaches. Our coach says every day we play, this is bigger than you. Well, it's fascinating. That little story got her to the Musial Awards in December, which are the greatest sportsmen in the nation for the year. But more than that, it really is also those who show exemplary character in a sporting moment. So it's more important even. What do you expect of you? Seriously? I'm old now, and I'll be honest with you. I don't really care what people think about me much, a little bit. What I care is what I think of me. I'm wondering, you're here this morning, and I promise you, I thought there'd be about 30 of you, but thank you. Why did you come? Why do you come here? Why do you do this? If you don't have an answer, find an answer. This isn't entertainment. You're not here for that. I can't compete. We can't compete. Nobody can compete with Regal. I mean, you know. Why are you here? Because we want to expect more of ourselves, don't we? You know, when I heard this story, let me tell you what I instantly thought of. I did go to school at some point way back there. I thought of the Middle Ages when continually when they talked about morality in their literature, they had an interesting little phrase. They just talked about the good. The good. You see, what they were talking about is God. Because they believed when you found the good, you find God. Isn't that what the story just told us? You know, this morning we hear powerful words, but don't miss the words of revelation. John of Patmos was thinking deep, deep thoughts. Deep thoughts. And this is a powerfully deep thought. One for all time and all ages. See, he did what we did. He was generations, decades after Jesus. But he was looking at the story and he made sense of the story. And he said it this way. He saw a new heaven and a new earth descending upon our earth. And then there was a voice from the throne, wonder who that was, saying these words, I am making all things new. I am making all things new. Tell me that's not a perspective for a new year. And you know, it's not glib. It's not to be glib. Christians aren't glib when they're serious about their work and faith and their reflections. We deal with reality. Life is difficult. Guarantee it. No, you see, I am making all things new is a promise. It's a philosophically deep and abiding promise, God's promise, that, see, we're not repeating the same formula. I'm not standing here in 23 as I did when I was in 22, and neither are you. We're not repeating some old formula. We're not restaging the same old play so that you walk through mechanically what you did last year. That's not what's scripted. And we're not erasing the fact that the experience some of us will have, if not every one of us will have, that some of the same old things are going to happen again. I guarantee it. This is a new year with a new promise of new things. What would it be like, very simply, if you took that perspective, if you take that perspective into 2024? And guess what? You don't have to do a complete makeover. That's not what's required, because you're not going to do it anyway. It doesn't happen. Some of you are going to lose weight. Some of you are going to quit smoking. I'll leave it at that. Enough meddling. You'll get that done, because we don't know what's going to happen, but we know that's not going to happen. But we'll do some things. What we do and can do is to make a conscious and faithful shift. It's a simple shift of perspective, a powerful shift in perspective. So why not? Let's join the army. Decide to spend this year hunting, really hunting for the good stuff. Amen.